All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. A lot of what we cover here will be very similar to what we talked about this morning. So some of it might be a repeat for those of you who are with us. But we're going to get into a teeny bit more depth of talking about using Teams as a full LMS as opposed to maybe supporting your course. So again, a lot of what we share here will be very similar to what you saw this morning if you were with us. If not, welcome to this session. So we're going to again show you how to ask to set up a class team and go through some of the different functions of using the class team. And Luke Ortman is with us again, and I'm going to pass it off to him again. Sorry if some of this is review with the two sessions being so similar. Much of it maybe some review. If you do have questions, please again feel free to put them in the chat as we're going through this, or if things popped up after the last one, so that we can make sure we cover it for all of you.
All right, thank you, Jody. I appreciate you guys having me back on this afternoon. Just a quick heads up, the lawnmower guy's here mowing the lawn, and which makes my dogs bark, so if you hear them in the background, I apologize in advance. So just a heads up there, that's what that noise is. Great. It's good to see some of you again. Hello to the new people. We're really going to dive into the Teams for Classrooms this afternoon. This morning was kind of an overall view of everything that Teams for Classrooms can do, but here is we're going to go and take it down. If you're going to use this as your main source for Teams for communication with your classrooms this semester and going forward, this is really what Teams for Classroom can do for you. So I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody. We're going to use the chat for questions. Both Jody and myself will be monitoring the chat box. So if you have questions during this, just go ahead and throw them in the chat. We'll keep up with them as quickly as we can during the next hour or so. I'm going to go ahead and also start sharing my screen so you can see all the cool stuff that's going on. So first things first, we've got the participations and we're going to mute. All right. And I'm going to share and this. Okay, so inside the Ohio University's Office of Information Technology.
Oh, Luke, there you go. Your audio was fading out, but you're back now.
Yeah. First things on this page, and I'll throw this in the chat so you guys can access this page as well, is the latest update. Nice thing about Microsoft Teams is when this whole COVID situation started, they realized that this learning distance thing was going to be taking place a lot more all over the world. So they pushed out a lot of updates ahead of what their scheduled release was. So that's the good news. The interesting news is that sometimes Microsoft Teams doesn't necessarily update automatically or as quickly as we want it to. But there is a way to go ahead and force updates through in Microsoft Teams so you can stay up to date as we go along with all the new things that are happening inside Teams. So on this page that I shared in the chat, inside the OIT page, is how to go ahead and check for those latest updates. The nice thing about these updates is that they've got the pop-up for the meetings, so you can have Microsoft Teams open on one window and then your Teams meeting open on a second window. So I can monitor this chat in a full screen, and I can also be on this call on a full screen. So that's one of the nice things about one of the current updates. So this walks you through how to do that. Whether you're a PC or a Mac, same thing. The update process is identical, whether you're using either one of those platforms. Below that, accessing Microsoft Teams, the app is always the way to go, whether you're on a Windows or a Mac, rather than the mobile or the web version. Mobile version's nice if you're out and about and you have to go ahead and access Microsoft Teams on your phone, you can absolutely do so. But when you're doing this with your LMS or everything else in Teams, it's always best to use the desktop app. If you're not sure if you're using that or not, downloading the Teams app here on the How to Access will go ahead and get you started on that process. If you're having guests for any type of reason during Microsoft Teams, on the web, shows you how to go ahead and access it that way. But then you got some other things down here, some features inside Microsoft Teams that are used on a day-to-day basis here across the university. But then there's also this entire section on classroom-specific features. There's even a quick start guide. So you can go ahead and download the quick start guide for Teams for Education and kind of walk you through some of the different things that are available to you in Microsoft Teams as you're teaching your class. It also has the assignments and the class notebook. I'm going to show you those live this afternoon, but this is the place you can go to for more information regarding those specific topics. Also, adding students to a team class, go ahead and create a link for that team and how to add a student class to a class team. So if someone joins after the semester started, goes ahead and how to get that process going. Underneath this is how to request. So if you want to get a team created for your class, this is how you do so. There's a form, you can go ahead and fill it out. And the form is going to go ahead and generate the information that you need to go ahead and put in order to get your class started. Now, a couple of things. If you've got a class that you're teaching and it has 4 or 5 different sections, what this form will do is you can go ahead and submit the form for each one of the sections. But if you want to combine all those sections into another big, large team that includes all the sections, you can still do that. You'll just have to contact the service desk and say, hey, I've got sections 1, 2, and 3 for this course. I'd also like a separate team that combines all the sections, and they can do that for you. They'll go ahead and also pre-populate your classroom attendance, so you'll know exactly who's in the class, just like they would do if you used Blackboard in the past. If you ever want to do a team for non-course purpose, this is the instructions on how to go and do that as well. So if you want to get a couple of professor or teaching colleagues together for some collaboration piece, this walks you through that process. So this is a really great page, giving you a general overview of Microsoft Teams, especially the classroom-specific features. Once you get your team created inside the Microsoft Teams app, it's going to show up along with your other teams. And if it doesn't, you might have to go ahead and refresh Microsoft Teams. So if you get the email back and it says, yeah, your team has been created, you're good to go, and you go to click on your teams and you don't see it here, just go ahead, click on your picture or your initials and sign out and then restart Teams. Sometimes that's needed in order to go ahead and refresh the system. But your team gets created for your classroom, gets put in right in here. You've got these 3 little options up here. Can students make teams for group work? So students can't request a team, but we can go ahead and create groups inside the Teams for Classroom, and I'll go ahead and walk you through that, Laura. Good question. But your Team for Classroom will show up here on your Teams home screen, and you can access it by clicking on it, or you can click on these 3 little buttons, and you can do a couple of cool things like edit the team. Here you can go ahead and name it. So it's going to come with a standard name with the name of your classroom, but if you want to name it something else, you can go ahead and erase it here and call it something. You can even pick the picture of it. Unfortunately, you can't go in here and upload a cool little picture. It's just going to be some of the basic things in here. You've got the upload option. Just have to make sure that the picture's small enough. Sometimes if the picture's too big, it won't upload. So just keep an eye on that for that. And then you also have the primary, secondary, and post-secondary options for the grade level. So if I switch this over, it's just changing the grade level of the team itself. And then the subject, you can do something a little bit specific if you want to. So all this is doing is changing what these little icons look like. It's not doing anything specific to the classroom itself. And then you can go ahead and update that. So you can do that for all your different sections so they all look a little bit different. Once you go into your team, just like your regular team, you're going to have this general channel that's going to get created for you automatically. Every team's got the general channel that on the top, it's got your post, files, notebook, assignments, and grades, and then the little plus sign. The little plus sign inside Teams, whether it's a regular team or a Teams for Classroom, you can add something for quick access that you know that you're going to use a lot of. For instance, in one of my other teams, we use a certain form for tracking what we do throughout the course of the month. Instead of having to look for that file at the end of every month, we could just click on it right here at the top of the team and access that file. So if there's going to be something that your class is going to use on a consistent basis, rather than having to look through past the files or different posts and everything like that, you can make quick access to any specific document right on the top of the Teams for Classroom. And that's going to be on the top of the general channel. You could do that for all of the other channels as well, but they're going to be channel specific. So if you have a channel that's just about basketball, you can put a quick reference in here for a file that you're going to use that doesn't have to go back every week to go and looking for it, searching for it. It can be quick access right on the top here. Now, Laura asked a question about making teams for group work, and that's what these little channels here are for inside the Teams for the Classroom. You can see on mine, I've got a plethora of different channels going on. You can have up to 200 channels inside each team, 30 of which can be private. Private channels mean that only certain people have access to those channels. You can see I've got a couple of nice examples here called Group 1, Group 2, Group 3, Group 4 with these little locks next to them because these are private channels. So I've only invited certain students into these different channels. And then the students can meet in this channel and share information, and only their people inside this group can see that information. So that's one way you would go ahead and do some group work inside a specific team for a channel, is these private channels. To create channels, whether public or private, 3 little dots here, and you can go ahead and add channel. This is also where you can go ahead and add a person who joined the class maybe later than the semester started. You can also edit your team name up here as well and get a link to the team. So you can click this, get a link, and then email the link out, and they can join the team that way if you want to. But to add a channel, whether it's public or private, you click Add Channel. If it's going to be public, all you have to do is type in the channel name. So we can have a channel just called All the Things. And you can put a description if you want to, but it's not necessary. And then you can make it standard so everyone can see this channel. You can also have an option where that automatically shows this channel in everyone's channel list. So this channel list over here on the left is personalized. You can hide channels and show channels based on what you think is necessary. This is for all the individual users. So if someone does not care or is never going to post anything in the baseball channel, they can click on the 3 little dots and they can hide it. Doesn't mean the channel's gone or deleted or anything of that nature. It just means if they want to access that channel about baseball, they have to go into their hidden channel list and they can see the baseball channel right there. But if you create a channel and automatically put it inside the channel list, all the students are going to go ahead and have it there, get a notification that bang, there's a new channel that created. Will the students be auto-populated in the class if they add the class late? Jody, I don't think that's the case right now. And my understanding is the class will be auto-populated if someone adds late. You'd have to add them manually. I'm only like 74% sure on that, but that was my understanding last that I've heard. And
okay.
Like I said here,
sure. I just wanted to double check. That's what I thought as well, but I wasn't sure if that had changed.
Yeah, and it might change in the future, but as of right now, you click on this guy, add a member, type in the student's name, and you can go ahead and add them, and that's how easy it is to add a student to the channel or to the group.
So if you're doing this, you'll still need to check back in with Blackboard or somewhere to make sure that you always have your course list up to date, especially those first couple of weeks.
Yep, excellent. So these private channels, though, we want to have these groups. For Laura, she wants to have these group works. To create a private channel, 3 little buttons. We do the add channel again, but now we're going to go ahead and make a private one for certain students. So we're going to have group 5, and we're going to switch this privacy thing over to private. Then you're going to go ahead and click next. At this point, all you have to do is type in the names of the students that you want to put into that group. And if the students are already populated in your class, all you have to do is start typing in their name and click add. So if you want to put 7 students into this group, cool. 4 students, great. Just type them in one at a time, click add, add, add. When you're all done, you can go ahead, instead of the skip button, there'll just be a finish button. You can click finish if you want to, and your students are added to that private channel. If you've got a co-teacher or somebody else that you want to add to that beside yourself, click on teachers, type in their name. When you're all done, you go ahead and hit finish, and your group is created. It's got a little lock sign next to it. If someone is in a private group, they'll get a notification that they were added to this private group. Other students that weren't added in this group will not be able to go into this group or see this group or anything that's going on. So that's, you can go ahead and create group work inside Teams for Classrooms. Doesn't have to necessarily be the name of a group. It can also be topics, can be private as well. See, I've got Obi-Wan, private number, Shark Week, Shel Silverstein, Superfood. All those are private channels. Remember, you can have 30 of these private channels inside your classroom, 200 total channels. So you've got lots of leeway to go ahead and make as many channels, private and public, as you would like over the course of your semester. Then once you're inside these channels, whether they're private or public, you've got a couple of cool little options. You have the one right here that's called Meet. So you can just click on this, and everyone who's a part of this group will get a message notification that someone has started a meeting inside that channel. But it's only going to go out to the people that are a part of this channel. So if you're having a class and you're doing like a lecture of some sort and you want them to go and break up into their groups, they could go into their Microsoft Teams channel, go into group 5, click Meet, and they could go ahead and meet inside that channel together. The 4 or 5 or 6 people are in that particular group. And it looks just like a regular meeting that we're in now. It operates the same way. The only downfall, or I should say setback, or what functionality that's limited when you click the Meet button like this, they can't record the meeting. So there's no option to record the meeting when you click Meet instead of scheduling the meeting on the calendar. So just a heads up there. But everything else acts the same. You can go ahead, anytime you share a file inside a group, it automatically gets saved to the Files tab. So 7 or 8 weeks into the course, we're going to have all these posts in this group channel. Someone has a question referencing something that somebody posted in week 1 or 2, like a Word document or Excel or something. Instead of having to scroll back through 5 weeks of posts, we can just click on Files. And anything that gets attached will be in this Files tab. And inside this Files tab, the people can also work on that file that was attached. So if someone posts an Excel sheet in week 1, 7 weeks down the road, we want to go ahead and work on it, we can open it up right inside the team group, click on it, and we can open up Excel right here on this main screen and start working on an Excel file. And everybody can work on it at once. It's not like one person has it, so it's locked so no one else can get in there. It's a collaboration tool. So 5 or 6 people can be working on an Excel file or a Word document all at the same time. You want to upload a new file? You've got 2 options. You can click this little paper clip down here and attach a file in a conversation. Or you can go up to the Files tab and you can start a new one, or you can upload an existing file. So if we want to start a new one, we just click New, gives us our options. We can create a whole new folder. So we want to have 5 different Excel workbooks in one folder. We can create that and then start opening up Excel workbooks. But if we just want one brand new Excel workbook, we can click on this. We can name it. We'll just call it Budget for Funsies, and we'll go ahead and create it. Now we have Excel right inside Microsoft Teams. And now I can go ahead and start typing in numbers here. 12. 24, 36, so on and so forth. And as more people access this file when I'm working on it, you'll see their initials and stuff come up over here in the top right corner. So you can see who's working on this particular file when you're working on it as well. And you can see the changes that they make in real time. The 3 little dots let you open it in the browser if you want to, instead of working on it in Microsoft Teams. You can also download it to your OneDrive if you'd like as well. Conversations. While you're working on this particular file, you can type to somebody. So let's say there's no microphones, you guys aren't doing like a live video feed. You can just tell people what you're doing right inside this particular file. You can also leave comments like, hey, I went ahead and changed cell B to something else, so on and so forth. just like you would go ahead and annotate or any of the regular files that we have going on. And remember, we do this with multiple people at the same time. If you want to get the full Excel experience, you can still open it in your desktop app. If you're on your work computer that's got the app on it, you could open it in the desktop app, and you'll still be able to see in real time changes other people are making. You're just getting the full functionality rather than the web-based version of Excel. When you're all done, clickety-clackety, you hit close. There it is, a few seconds ago. Now in 6 weeks, if I want to find this Excel spreadsheet, after 6 weeks of people posting about all the stuff, I could just go out on files. If I know I want it to be quick access rather than having to look in files, because maybe I'm going to be using 30 or 40 different files throughout the course of the semester, we can make it a quick access if we want to. So I can go to Excel, I can use budget and hit save. So now instead of files, it's also going to be here, but I can go ahead and quick access it just by clicking this little Excel tab, and it's going to automatically open up the budget spreadsheet. So if I've got 20 or 30 files listed here, but it's the one that we access the most, we can make it quick access. And you can keep adding quick access files along the